All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow. And remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest for you. Give you a couple of words about my guest. Community, truth, empower, pillar. That means strong and, noticeable for those people who don't know what the word pillar is. Anyway, but moving on. From the Austin, Texas area, please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Miss Sophia Strother. I made sure I got that last name right this time.
You hit it, honey. I was waiting too, but you hit it. I was waiting. I was gonna eat you up if I was like, now we just went over this, right, but you did good.
We just talked about this. Okay. All right. No. I made sure.
You did good.
Okay. All right. No. How are you?
I'm doing good, actually. I think this kind of moment, in the midst still, I guess, of COVID-19, but at least still I'm able to socialize a little more. So I think life is coming back into me a little bit more than before, because isolation doesn't work good for me. It was rough. 2020. And it's funny, every time I talk to somebody, I was saying, when I spoke at this event last year, and they were like, no, you did. I was like, damn, that was 2019. It's like I felt like I lost a whole year.
Look,
every time I talk to somebody.
I've been telling people, seriously, like 2019 feels like 5 years ago.
Right. It really does. It's crazy. It really 2020.
It was a long time ago. Like, you know what? I did that in, wait a minute, when? Oh, yeah, in 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, and we're still not out of it yet. So it's like, It's still hard to balance like the crazy. And with me being in Texas, we were really looking forward to 2021. We were like, yes, we made it over. And then 2021 hit for us.
Right.
We got the worst power storm, power outage and winter storm.
Yes.
I'm going 5 days with no water, electricity. Like, what is happening?
Okay. Look here.
It was crazy.
2021, you better straighten up, man. You got
to
straighten up now. Come on now.
They better straighten up and fly right is all I'm saying, the rest of this year at least.
All right. Now, let me just say, first and foremost, once again, welcome to the platform. If everybody's wondering, like, okay, well, man, Ty, y'all on here, ha, he. Listen, chill out. First and foremost, man, Sophia's a guest of the show. And I have her on the show today because we're going to talk about a few things. And we're going to talk about some things that I know for sure a lot of us in the African-American community are not talking about because of, some things may be taboo. Some people don't talk about it because of safety issues. But we're going to get to that in just a second. First thing I want to talk about is Miss Sophia, you formed, I guess, I want to call it like a medical association?
A medical clinic, actually.
Okay. A medical clinic called Meraki?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So Meraki Medical Associates is a medical clinic that we just primarily focus on vaccinations. And, if I'm gonna just be real, I was very skeptical of getting a vaccine. When COVID first hit, everybody was trying to rush to be the first to find a vaccine and muddle through it. And all I kept saying was, I'm not going to be another Tuskegee experiment. I need to see who's going to grow limbs and tails and everything else first. I'm good. I was so against it. I was like, nah, I'm good. I can't see it. And then as my family started dropping like flies with COVID, I was like, well, maybe, my son got it twice. He's 25 and he was in really bad shape. Then I had 10 other family members, and then I lost a cousin to it. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, this is real. This ain't this ain't no game. Like, until it really just hits your family, I think sometimes we're still oblivious to the real impact that it has, unless you're a frontline worker and you really see for yourself some of the effects that it has. But then we started hearing about the statistics that those that were more likely to have worse consequence once contracting it and or dying were Black people, and then Black and brown people. Okay, like in everything, the health disparities that exist are horrendous for us. In all things health, if it is negative, we are at the highest level, and if it is positive, we are at the lowest level. And so as we started to go into 2021, I was in conversation with a friend of mine, and we were just really starting to talk about, okay, well, we might actually get this shot. I think I'll have maybe a better peace of mind. I used to get the flu shot. I mean, I'm one parent that I've allowed my children to get vaccines so they can go to school, because all schools have it to where they have to have the chicken pox, measles, this, that, and the third. And we as parents diligently go out and get these vaccines. We don't know what's in them. We just know that they're supposed to keep our children from getting sick. We have a blind trust when it comes to some of the traditional things that we operate in every single day. But when it came to COVID-19, there was something that we were so suspicious of, which there's validity to it, because historically the science and medical community has manipulated and used us. So I get it. But at the end of the day, hundreds of thousands of people were dying and are still dying today. Like, it's not over just because some states have relaxed mask mandates, or the CDC has some kind of mixed review guidance that they just put out, which is kind of crazy to really adhere to, but it's still happening. And so I really wanted to say, like, how can I be a part of this solution, even just in my immediate community? And I thought about the fact that if we have a Black-owned medical clinic with primarily Black and brown individuals that are administering the shot in their community, maybe that's at least one or two barriers that are brought down that they can trust. Okay, well, I'm seeing my own self in this clinic. They're the ones that's talking to me. They would share some of those anxieties that I might have once shared, and can really be a part of the solution. Because at the end of the day, we need to reach 80 to 90% of individuals vaccinated in the US to have herd immunity nationally. And so this was just a part of me kind of delivering it forward from another company that I own. I actually forfeited taking any salary or any of the profits from my company, L2E Industries, that I contract and deliver packages for Amazon, and utilize those funds to actually open up this clinic in East Waco, Texas.
Oh, okay. All right. So basically you are really serving a community that is, pretty much misrepresented and underserved a lot when it comes to like medical, people.
Oh yeah.
Positions. Okay.
We're always the last. I mean, it's, you can tell just based on how neighborhoods have been orchestrated. And we know that really came throughout the 50s and 60s when they really started building out communities. Most Black and brown communities didn't have hospitals. They might have a community clinic, but they didn't have a hospital. Most don't even have banks, or if they do, they're just now getting it. Most don't have grocery stores. It's almost like it's designed for us to not have the same and equal access. Right. And that was happening even with the vaccine distribution. When it first started being distributed, it was going to richer zip codes and or zip codes that actually had that infrastructure already in place. Every Black community or brown community doesn't have a Walgreens or a CVS in there, which they were primarily ones doing it, or grocery stores will also be hosting them. So this is, again, something that we're going to do statewide. We're in the process of securing an RV or a mobile bus that we can wrap and be able to go. If it's an underserved community, we can go. If it's a rural community, which again, they don't tend to have the numbers to have a larger healthcare system, or it's already closed due to lack of funding, we can go and do it. Senior communities, the same. They're normally the last to even be thought of, unless they're in a nursing home. But there's other senior communities or just older neighborhoods that we can go and pull up and be able to partner with, whether it's a local faith-based organization or another organization, to give vaccines.
And first and foremost, let me just tell you, that's genius, first and foremost, because I talk about this from time to time, deserts and populated cities. And you just talked about, food deserts, hospitals, schools, you know, like areas where there's like nothing there, or what you do have is very little or poor quality, that, you know, this is all that pretty much the neighborhood can afford. Because,
Right.
you know, as you said, when it comes to hospitals, if you have to go more than 5, 10, 15, 20 miles just to get seen by a physician or a doctor, or if your clinic is offering like poor, you know, quality care, you know,
Right.
you have people there that really don't care to do their jobs, and they may not look like you or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be an issue. So the fact that you all are like, you know, as you said, man, trying to get that, you know, big bus and wrap it up, and, you know, man, look, this is what we're on. We're going around, we're giving out these vaccines for you, and you. Yeah, we know you all may not be able to get to, you know, a hospital or, you know, a place of value that's going to give you these, because as you said, the Walgreens, the CVS, like things of that nature, like, and I know it's just not in East Waco, you know, it's here in Chicago as well,
Right.
in other cities as well, but in certain areas of the city, especially in the, you know, poor neighborhoods of Black and brown people, they're tearing down certain resources that are very vital to the community itself. Man,
Right.
it's very hard for people to get certain services that they need. So,
Right.
okay, I see you over there. Look at it, man.
We're just trying to do a little something. I just feel like, you know, I had someone ask me, I had this is when Trayvon Martin passed, and was killed, murdered. And afterwards, everybody was so upset that his killer was not convicted.
Right.
And, you know, I actually did a little march and formed Black Men Standing. And I was so concerned with, if we change image, we'll save lives. I said, we get so upset when we are killed by someone that is white. I mean, we will protest all over the world, rightfully so, you know, when law enforcement is involved. But I know people that get killed daily by others that look just like them. And there's no sense of outrage. There's no sense of, you know, well, that was my cousin that just killed up the whole block or shot this innocent girl or did whatever. We don't have the same level of outrage and protest and things happening. And I said, until we start changing the images for ourselves and really kind of caring for our own community, as we did before pre-desegregation, when it was like, we knew this all we got. And we really kind of loved on each other and really felt value. But it's like, now we don't even value each other, but expect for someone else of another ethnicity to value us. And so this was really a part of, okay, what can I continue? I can't keep complaining that we don't have access. We don't. It is what it is. It's not changing overnight. Not saying to stop the fight, but until all of that is said and done, what can we do that's within our own power to get done immediately? And this is just a small piece of the pie to say, okay, well, if we can have a Black-owned medical clinic, that's one layer of trust hopefully built, because you know, I understand that there's not that barrier, but then let's go to our own people and make sure that they're taken care of. That's the one thing I can do. I can't break down a system that's been in place for hundreds of years right now, but this is the one thing I can do.
Well, okay, that is true, but you know, one of the words that I did use to describe you is empower. So, and pillar. So this is how we're going to, like, you know, do that. So as you said, community centers, things of that nature, like to get the vaccines and, you know, to get people, basically to get aid to people who needed aid from people who look like them, to show them that, hey, you know what? Not everything that you see out here, you know, in the media and everything else is bad. There are actually people out here trying to help you within the community that really wants the community, you know, to be great.
Right.
Man, I know you do like other events as well. And first, I'm just going to say this. Now, from you just doing this with like the vaccine, that's going to like bring more people in from the community. That's going to Eventually, something tells me you're going to start having conversations with these people that are very tough conversations that they need to have, that they are not having because of ego and what people may deem to see, be taboo or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Really not, like it's
Mm-hmm.
really a mental health issue that we're just like skating over,
Mm-hmm.
So I really do believe things like that build, conversations like that, which builds more powerful platforms for you to
Mm-hmm.
get out and do everything you're doing. Now, one of those things I want to talk about, and also one of the words I used was pillar. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
meaning, hey, pillar of the community. Everybody check it out. Okay, man, y'all gather around. Let me teach y'all something. I got it going on. This is why I got it going on. So tell y'all why why Sophia, please forgive me, why, Sophia got it going on. And this is why she got it going on. Listen to this. So in our community, I know this to be a fact. We sort of have the, no snitch rule when it comes to like certain things that happens within the community. Whether it be big, whether it be small. One thing I do know is in the community, there's a lot of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
In the community, there's a lot of like sexual violence. And in the community, there's a lot of human trafficking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These are things that we don't talk about, but these are things that we know go on. Certain people we know that are doing these things, we don't even speak out about because, man, it may be retaliation or it just may be, I just don't want to get involved. You know what I'm saying? Like a fear or what have you. You, on the other hand, nah. We need to talk about this. We need to address these things. We need to put all these things on blast. Can you talk about some of your grassroots campaigns that you have going on to address?
Yeah. So hashtag get loud, get out is something that I birthed when I finally found my voice. As a survivor of child sexual assault, familiar trafficking, and domestic violence, I was mute for a long time. Just primarily because that's what I was told. I need to be quiet, or being in a Black family, we keep our business. Don't tell my house business. Like whatever goes on here stays here. That mentality that we don't trust law enforcement, or we don't trust that will be believed if we tell anybody. Or if you're one that came up in somewhat of a church background, they'll say, pray about it. Not to say there's nothing wrong with praying. No, but that's not going to stop my head from getting beat in or me being sexually assaulted when I get back. And so, to be honest, it really wasn't until like my mid-20s, after I was going through a divorce, that I really found my voice. I started to realize that so much of what I was doing was based on the fact that I was not healed. And that I had to keep a facade or a mask like I was okay. This whole thing about being strong, especially, is very detrimental, especially to women, especially Black women, because it's almost like we're supposed to be these superheroes that don't have emotions. And if we do, we're the angry Black woman, or we about to have a nervous breakdown, so you crazy. Like all of this terminology that they throw out, and nobody's really getting to the root of potential abuse and or kind of this false facade of who your true identity is. And I think, again, once I found my voice after my divorce, I ran into Coach Carter, and he was depicted in the movie with Samuel L. Jackson in 2005. And so became really good friends. And I remember when I gave him my manuscript for my first book, Sophia, I'm Back, one of the things he told me was, tell your story even if they don't want to hear it. You're 99% ahead of the game, because everybody has a story, but only 1% of the people tell it. And so one of the things that I've dedicated was, I went through enough hell in silence that I believe that I couldn't have went through it just for me. And so I definitely wanted to make sure that my voice was heard. And as I've gotten older, I've realized there's not a lot of Black women, period, that are on, as I say, the circuit, especially when it comes to human trafficking, which I didn't realize I was even a victim of that until I really truly learned what human trafficking was, and realized that yeah, my mom was pimping me out. Okay, so that's considered trafficking. I just thought I had a screwed up mother. I didn't realize that she was literally my pimp, because normally in movies and in videos, you see him sensationalized as like the Bishop Don Juan with the hat and the cup, or in Shaq, with the big book. Like it's sensationalized as some guy on the block, when it can literally be, as they call a Romeo pimp, someone that you've been in a relationship with and they introduce it. Or it could be that survival sex and you trying to just live and survive and you're taking advantage of, or it could be a family member, like in my case. And so again, now that I'm healthy enough to be a survivor that's talking, I want to make sure that other women that are either in a situation scared to get out because they don't see a lot of other Black women that have gotten out and are healthy, right, or if you've gotten out and you really don't know if you can actually thrive, not just survive, because if you live beyond the incident, you're surviving, but then thriving. Once again, I want to see somebody that is thriving. I told someone I didn't like Precious. I didn't like the movie Precious with Monique. I didn't like Colored Girls, primarily because it showed everything that can go wrong, but it never really showed what's the positive outcome. So what's after the abuse? What's after these jacked up relationships where we've allowed ourselves to be manipulated, or we was with this bad joker? Like, so what's next? So like, there's never really, I feel like, a healthy movie to really talk about the what's next and the thriving of the women. And so for me, I feel like my life, as best as I can be, I want them to see the after. And that's the reason why I declare I won't be quiet.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something else she did, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to tell you why she won't be quiet, because, man, she dropped it earlier, but I don't think y'all was really listening. So I'm going to go back and pick it up so she can give it to y'all one more time. Sophia has a book. And the name of this book is called, Hey, Sophia, I'm Back. Mm-hmm. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't met, first of all, if you haven't been listening to what we're talking about, shame on you. Second of all, man, look, if you've been listening to everything we've been talking about, man, she's back. Okay. Yeah. I don't even know if she ever left personally, but wherever she went, she back from that. So yeah, I'm here to like let you all know everything that's going on. Now, I know this book you got is a tell-all book, and you didn't told some of your story, but man, come on and bring us home. Tell us all about this book, where we can get it. And well, first of all, tell us about the book, and then we're going to talk about where to get it and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, so, Sophia, I'm Back. Really, originally, my book was going to be titled Deceased Innocence, Stand on Your Grave, Not in It. That was something that was so deep for me, because I felt like my father killed my innocence when he started having a sexual relationship with me at 9. And for so many years, I think it wasn't until I was 36, I get emotional thinking about it. It wasn't until I was 36 that I realized I didn't know what my name was. My name to me was currency. I just saw everything that I did as a transaction because of, one, my father kind of embedding into me that this is all I was good for, was to please men and not to have anything to say. If there was something that went wrong in any relationship that I'm in, it's probably my fault. And he molded that in me from 9 to 11. And then he dies. He gets clean from crack because he was on crack really bad. And he gets clean from crack and he dies when I was 13. And my mother lost it, as she was also on crack. And then she starts selling me to support her habit and to pay the bills around the house, because I had 2 younger brothers. And so I became the currency for her because she didn't work. And so with that being the case, and, I became pregnant at 14 by a man that used to supply her drugs. And I'm a mother at 15, a junior in high school. And it was just like, everything's moving so fast. And I finally leave her when my son was 3 months old. And that, to me, I have a quote in the book that by 16, I felt like a washed up rag. And I knew that if I stayed, I'd either be a prostitute or dead if I stayed with my mother. And I just really at 15 had to make a choice for life. And my son is what gave me life, to leave, because I said there has to be more than life than just kind of habitual issues. Like, it was just one thing after another. But you don't realize how much that stays with you for an extended period of time. And as I look back over my life and some of the decisions that I made in relationships or just even in career or even moving was all because I felt like I was that currency. I talk about the fact that I had a reality check that I was a backdoor chick. There was an individual I used to deal with, and I was good enough to come through his back door, but not out his front. And that was like something really harsh that I had to realize, like, why do I feel like I'm so not valuable enough that I can be claimed in public or I can be acknowledged as an asset? You know, I've been owning my own home since I've been 20. I've had my own business since I've been 21. I've been self-reliant. So it's not like dealing with me was a liability, but I had this Build-A-Bear spirit. Like I had to get stuff that was a mess and try to build it back up. Because in actuality, I was a mess and wanted to be built up. Mm-hmm. And so again, for so long, that was kind of that cycle that I had. And, you know, the book for me was just a way for me to kind of just express some of what I went through, to let other people know, like, you're not alone. But I also dispelled some of the myths around like rape culture and sexual assault, so that, yeah, these are some things you might have heard, but like, here's the facts and the statistics around what it really is when it comes to sexual abuse. And it literally can stay with you for a lifetime if you're not diligent in your own healing process and like checking your own self to say, okay, my name isn't currency. My name is Sophia Strother. And I need to like take pride in the fact and really reclaim my identity from my parents based on their abuse. So my book really just details that. And it's broken down to where a 7th grader can read it, primarily because Austin ISD, which is a very large school district here, asked me to build a curriculum around my story. So I actually have a second book called Taking My Life Back. All of them can be found at any book outlet, period. Whether it's Amazon, Barnes & Noble, it can be found there. You can go to my website, sophiastrother.com. But now I have a workbook that really kind of takes 9 weeks. It doesn't matter what you've been through, and really helps you to separate yourself from that circumstance so you don't continue to feel as though everybody that sees you knows. It's something with survivors. It feels like everybody knows, or you still blame yourself for certain bits of abuse or not leaving sooner, or there's always those little things that kind of gnaw at you. But this is an opportunity for you to basically kind of really just breathe a minute, catch your breath, and realize that the mouth can disrupt the mind, meaning you can speak yourself out of certain things if you continue to have faith, like, okay, no, Sophia, you good, let's go. Like, come on, we got to do this. Like, you know, talking to yourself is not a bad thing. Sometimes you got to motivate and encourage yourself. And so my book really helps to do that. It kind of helps to say, you know, you're not alone. But I also make sure I end that book by talking about, and I wrote this again now, that was over 10 years ago that I wrote that first book. But it really just at least says, hey, check, this all happened to me, but I was still able to buy a home. I was still able to graduate with my master's degree. I was still able, so that people can bring it in context that yes, you can go through these things, but you can take your power of your life back. And that's what the control is, to where you don't allow your instances that happen to you or people from your past to control your future.
Don't have them control your future, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, first and foremost, man, it's persistence, you know, and persevering over, you know, all kinds of like, you know, unspeakable odds. You know, that's what I hear first and foremost when you're talking about the story. Second of all, like the fact that the school district wants to like incorporate that within like their curriculum, I think is like wonderful, because you know, I feel we need more stories like that, especially from, you know, women of color as well. You know, Black, I mean, look, listen, let's just keep it real. There's a lot happening around the country every single day that we're either like turning a blind eye to, or we're just turning away from, period. And basically, I know within like the last couple of years, there's been over like what I want to say 100,000 missing Black women in the United States.
It's crazy,
right? And like no one's really saying anything about it. You know, like people go missing every day, And as I said before, and I know some of y'all don't want to hear it, but y'all know I'm speaking the truth. Man, we live in some of these neighborhoods where we know that this is going on by certain people who live in these neighborhoods, but we don't want to say anything because of, fear, or because of, they don't want to, well, basically fear, because you don't want to be labeled a snitch. You don't want to, have someone coming after you, or, for like retaliation or what have you. And let's just keep it real. Sometimes the rabbit hole goes very deep. And even if you do call the so-called local authorities, and I mean, I'm not saying all, but it's been known that, sometimes the rabbit hole even goes as far as like the local authorities. They're involved in certain things. That's why certain cases will never get, dealt with, or like.
Well, you getting deep there, Ty.
I'm just saying.
You get me? I mean, but you know what? You speak in truth. I deal more heavily now also with human trafficking. And one of the main things that we talk about is don't snooze on that clientele, because you have judges, you have politicians, you have those in law enforcement that participate in the trafficking game. And that's why also it's very hard to convict. Or if you'll notice, I mean, they say right now that the majority of pimps are Black. I always look at the fact that, I wonder why that is. Primarily because they'll be the main ones that will be arrested. They'll be the main ones convicted of the crime. It's not necessarily that they're the majority of those that are actually operating in human trafficking or prostitution. But we also know, even when it comes to prostitution, makes up about 40% of those that are in it as adults are Black women, and juveniles, it's over 59% according to the FBI average that are Black girls that are part of some sort of trafficking or prostitution. Now, mind you, when it comes down to convictions, they tend to convict prostitutes more than they do the Johns. So I always say there is no supply without demand. But when it comes to demand, a John can get a slap on the wrist misdemeanor, but a prostitute will actually get a felony. When it comes to, again, the pimp barely gets locked up and goes to jail. It'll be the female that takes the hit. And it's a whole vicious cycle that, like I said, it goes deep. That rabbit hole is deep. And trust me, there's a lot of people that are on the other side that don't want it to come to light. Let's look at Kraft from the Patriots and what happened 2 years ago with the Super Bowl. I mean, he ain't at no rink-dink massage parlor now. He can have a private somebody come to the house and rub him down if he wants to. But he's over there getting a little bit more than a regular massage. And did he do jail time? Absolutely not. Did he get convicted? Absolutely not. Why? Because he's white and he got money. But again, you still have that Asian population that are in the massage parlors that, again, are continuing to be trafficked. And it's obviously evident because we see big names Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, it happens all the time. But if you got a different hue on your skin, it's going to be a whole different story when it comes down to being convicted or held accountable.
Protection for the complexion, as they say.
That's exactly. Oh, come on here. I like that. That might get stolen.
I'm just saying. Okay. This is Word with Ty Brownlow. We just saying over here.
Yep.
But you know what we're saying.
Yeah. That's why I could never be a politician, because I'm too busy trying to speak truth. I don't have time to play games for this party, that party, because you say I'm going to just speak truth and you may not like it. I done been through too much hell to care really right about now. So well, it is what it is.
You know what, Sophia? They won't let us be politicians because we Black, for real. And I said that.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
You mean that?
Okay. Right. For real. Y'all don't put nobody Black for real up in politics, because we know no. So yeah, we ain't never gotta worry about sitting at that table. We just won't.
No, I ain't gonna sit. I'm good. I work with you because I need to, because I know that there are some truly trying to help do certain things that better lives, but I can't be that one. I can't have that microscope. One, because my family ain't wrapped too tight, and they was trying to dig up everything from the past, honey. And I'm not phased. If you talking to me about something I did 5 years ago, I ain't phased. I'm in the now. Like if I've done something now, hit me up now. Not something where I've already matured or grown or, learned from a mistake or whatever have you. I need the now.
I hear that, man. Come on. So look here. If people want to get in contact with you, all right, how can people get in contact with you? Where can they get in contact with you? On social media or the internet, what have you?
Yeah, so my website is sophiastrother.com. I'm also on Facebook as well, Sophia A. Strother. And then I'm on Twitter as Sophia's Back. Sophia, I'm back. I had to remember, Sophia, I'm back. And then I'm on Instagram, Sophia_not_currency. And so I'm very easily able to just partner and collaborate. Again, our biggest thing that we're doing now outside of Juneteenth Family Fun Day, which is coming up in East Waco on June 19th, which we're excited about. That's something we've been doing now since 2011, partnering with 94.5 The Beat. We average about 5,000 that come through, all through Central Texas, from Dallas, Houston, Austin. They go on to Waco. We have live entertainment. I think this year we bring in some old school. We bring in Montel.
Okay. How we doing?
Yeah, a little bit of this. It's Sir Charles. He's a Texas favorite. James Fortune for gospel. So, DeRose, some old school hip hop, So we're bringing in a couple folks or whatever. But the main thing is so that we can raise awareness about domestic violence as we get our Black and Brown community there, knowing that they're the most at risk and most vulnerable. This is where we can also spread that message. We'll be doing vaccinations there as well, partnering with the health department. We have all type of social services, food, and you just come and just kind of chill and enjoy it. And it's become a staple now. I think it's the largest in a 200-mile radius for us in Texas right now. And so we're excited about being able to continue that.
Word. Hey, look, let me just say this too, and look, first, let me just say this. If you ever need somebody to come down and speak and say whatever, this, that, what have you, man, look, my door's always open. I don't have...
you down?
Yes.
I gotta have you come down.
Holla at me. But second of all, let me just say this. I think it's very wonderful that you're doing this on Juneteenth, because I know we always talk about the economic side of things, well, man, it was Black Wall Street. We had these types of businesses and we had this and we had that. Everybody always wants to talk about the economic side of things. No one really wants to talk about the social side of things and how we were also working together, because to have all of that wealth, to have all of that currency in one small place, you had to have communications. You had to have like networking skills and, get these things. And I feel that's also another time to bring those things up. So whereas we talking about, building a better and bigger community, man, that's only going to happen if we start socializing and talking. And look, stop all the stigmatizing of, man, not wanting the family business out. Don't tell, man, look here, you better not tell nobody about what's going on in this house. Well, man, that's messing up the psyche of the person for down the road. They're going to have all kinds of PTSD and mental health issues and all kinds of relationships they're going to have in school, in their personal relationship, at work, what have you. They're always going to have an issue if we don't start talking about what's going on now.
Yeah, we have to talk. I think one of the biggest issues we have is we don't know how to be active bystanders, which means about 45% of people that have been in domestic violent relationships or sexually abused, they go to family and friends first. They don't go to anyone else. Then they go to the church. Then they go to law enforcement. But that 45% of us don't know how to have those conversations because we actually don't take the time to kind of research how should I respond when someone comes to me and says, this is happening, or if you see the signs of battered women syndrome. And men are abused too. Like I do really advocate for men because men are abused by women. Or if you're in whatever your sexual orientation, I believe that abuse does not care about any of that. Abuse is abuse, and it's based on a person wanting control over somebody else, no matter what your sexual orientation is. But so many times we've been programmed to be quiet, or because we don't trust law enforcement, or because we might have said something to someone. They say, well, girl, just leave. Not realizing that he's threatened to kill her if she did leave, or he'll keep the kids, or he'll, take the money, or make it to where in the back of your mind, you're realizing if I leave, I'll be killed. Well, the majority of women that are actually killed from domestic violent relationships are because they tried to leave, or they had just left and then they got killed. So what that message sends to someone else is, oh, I might as well just stay because if I leave, he gonna kill me. When you open up Facebook and you look at the news, every day now you're finding out about a different domestic violence case where somebody done killed their kids, or they didn't went up into their job, or they went up into the church, all behind domestic violence. Like, it's real what's happening right now, and being quiet is not going to save it. It's not going to do it. So find anybody, somebody. It doesn't have to be a family member that cares. I always tell people here, like, I've helped people that's not even in my state. But again, if you reach out, then somebody can at least give you resources locally, or be able to lend an ear to kind of get you through the day so you can make a safe plan to exit. And that is the key. You have to have a safe plan to exit, especially if you're dealing with someone that can be very violent and has already threatened your life if you try to leave.
First and foremost, let me just say, if anyone out there, male, female, child, elder, what have you, anyone out there that's feeling as if they're going through like this type of domestic violence, because it just doesn't necessarily have to be like women, like it can be man all across the board. But anyone that feels as if they're like going through something right now that's so like turbulent and traumatic that there is no end, and there's no way you can get out. There is a way. There's always a way. There's always a way. Sometimes we have to be brave enough to take that first step. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy because, as you said, in the back of the mind, you are probably thinking, hey, you know what, man, if I do something, if I say something, it can be over for me, and it could be over for my kids, or, this is not going to end well. But sometimes we just have to fight that negativity, and sometimes we have to fight that doubt, and we have to take that plunge, just so, we are free of the situation, because at the end of the day, it's not cool to live your life like that.
It's not. And if there's I want to give the domestic violence hotline again, even if it's sexual assault that you're dealing with. If you call 1-800-799-SAFE or 1-800-799-7233, there's somebody standing by at all times to help. You can even text that number. If you text START to that number, that can also start a text conversation, because you may not be able to call depending on your circumstance or the situation, but you can text. Or even if you go to the hotline.org, you can click on there and it won't be in your history feed. They have it to where once you go in there, you don't have to worry about that being in your history feed. But there are people that are on standby 24 hours a day. So if you need help, or if you just need to talk or find local resources, please call 1-800-799-SAFE.
Look, trying to tell y'all, Sophia Strother.
He's so stupid.
MBA. I ain't even give y'all the letters behind the name now, okay?
He's so silly.
Okay, man, look here, y'all better, recognize what's going on, okay? Word with Ty Brownlow, man, informative content. We are here to give you informative content, all right? None of that other stuff, and that's not to knock anyone else in their platform. That's just not, man, we don't do trash over here.
Right, good.
That's just what it is. All right. So, Miss Sophia, I've been waiting all show to say that. Miss Sophia, man, look.
My whole life. You told her all the days of my life I had to.
You know what? Stop it. Stop it.
That's my whole life. Come on, Miss Seeley. Come on. Go ahead. My whole life has been Oprah. Do you hear me what I say? I've been Oprah my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, we act a fool around here, y'all. We act a fool around.
Yeah.
Okay. But, man, we've come to the very last, and I'm kind of pissed off, too. We've come to the very last question of the show. The question that my show is known for, so I had to ask. Miss Sophia Strother.
Yes.
What is the one word that best describes you and why?
I'm going to say courageous, because in everything that I had to do to live beyond the abuse took courage. So for me, being on this podcast with you, reliving some of my darkest moments in life and being transparent about those and just kind of putting myself out there for others, or just deciding that I'm more than currency, took courage.
Okay. Hey, look, for those who didn't catch the words I used earlier, let me just say this one more time to you. Community, truth, which takes courage, and power, which takes courage. Pillar, which takes courage. These are the words that I use to describe this woman here, okay? But I'm gonna go, man, one step beyond, because this is my show and I can do that. This is Work with Ty Brownlow. I'm Ty Brownlow, I can do that. So check this out. Our word for you, man, I use pillar. I wanted to use the word beacon, but I'm going to use leader.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, you said courage, all right? And it takes courage to lead.
That is true.
Let's keep it real. It takes courage to lead. True. The fact that you are out here in the community, you know, man, problem solving. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong there's nothing wrong with people who, you know, bring up the conversation and get the conversation started. I have no issue with that, man. More of that needs to happen. But for those people who are out here problem solving, man, feeling the need, you know, of those necessities that we need in the area.
Yeah.
Man, you know, that hit a little bit more hard. You know what I'm saying? You know? And it's not to like belittle others or whatever, but that just hits a little bit more hard, man, when it's a problem solver.
Yeah, I do. And I think it's just all about, you've heard it before about getting purpose from the pain. And for me, this has been such a healthy distraction from some of the things that I might have felt. Or I used to say, and I say this when I go into the classroom speaking to teenagers, I wish I had a me when I was growing up. I wish I had someone that I could see and really aspire to the tenacity that they have. Not necessarily I'm trying to be like, but the tenacity for life. And I think for so long of being oppressed and then my voice being suppressed, that I'm really wanting to make it to where if I can learn to exhale and help others to breathe again, then I've really done my due diligence. I've been able to make the dash in between the date that I'm born and the date that I leave here really meaningful. And that's been my whole thing. What is your dash? Like, what are you going to do with that time in between life and death? And that's basically what I'm trying to do. And I'm not promised another 40. So with the time that I do have, I really want to make it to where my children have somebody that they can say in their family was legacy driven. And I want to leave a great legacy for my grandchildren so that they can never say, well, you know, my family, we didn't do X, Y, and Z. Well, no, you can't say that. Your sweet people's out there. So there's no excuse why you can't feel motivated or empowered that you can do more. And it's not just about working for somebody, owning your own, being a part of that piece of the puzzle if that's what you desire to do.
You know, when you invest in life, you look for that return. And and when it's all said and done, the people who come forward and really speak the truth on your behalf, that is the return on your investment in life. And it tells me when it's all said and done, and it's time to have your ROI on your life, return on investment for those, like, what the hell is an ROI? Return on investment, people.
Return on investment, yeah.
All right. So when it's time for you to have yours and people speak upon your name, man, it will be with nothing but the utmost respect. And therefore, that will, as you said, legacy driven, that's what drives a legacy. When others, and you ain't even got to utter a word because they already know who and what you are.
Yeah.
Mic drop. Okay. We back. Oh, man.
Love it.
Look here. I have enjoyed this conversation.
Yes, this was great. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate you giving a platform for me to speak my truth, which again, you might want to do a little disclaimer that, for those that might have been victimized, it might be a little bit of a trigger show because I talked a little raw, but it's definitely conversation that needed to be had. And so I thank you for allowing that platform to take place.
All right. Well, I'm going to say this, man. If I have to leave a disclaimer, and if something triggered you, please leave a comment and we can, really talk about this. And I have someone here who can help with the conversation.
Yes, that is absolutely right.
There you go. Okay. Look here. We problem solve, people.
Yes.
We solve. Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I have been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Word with Ty Brownlow, or you can just go to my website, tybrownlow.com, get this wonderful interview, plus other interviews as well. Miss Sophia Strother.
Thank you so much.
I thank you. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we out. Peace.
Peace.